The Galaxy A52 5G is one of those phones that I typically avoid covering as well, as at just shy of £400 it's not that cheap and cuts a lot of corners compared to its flagship counterparts. But Vodafone offered it for review, so as always check out their offers in the video description, but not before hearing my verdict. So without further ado, hey guys, my name is Ryan Thomas and this is my review of the Galaxy A52 5G. This is going to sound weird to open the video, but you can get a Galaxy S20 Fan Edition for the same money as one of these. That's going to give you a similar screen, storage, RAM, battery and wired charging, but adds in wireless charging, a more powerful processor, Wi-Fi 6 connectivity, and swaps out the gimmicky extra cameras for a telephoto one, granted at the cost of the super high resolution main sensor. For £375, you are getting quite a lot of phone for your money. Firstly, that big 6.5-inch 1080p 120Hz AMOLED is brilliant. It's big, it's bright, it's contrast heavy, it's very colourful, it's very tunable as well within the settings. It's a Samsung, so you can probably have expected as much, but this is a brilliant display for a phone under £500. It's responsive, it's got that centre place punch hole, which I like, and I'd call the display the A52's staple feature. The rest of the design is alright, it's predominantly made of plastic, which is kind of what we're used to these days. I rather like the flat back and curved rails. It feels rather premium in the hand, save for the very slight flex and the fact that it picks up scratches really easily. The phone feels dense and weighty throughout, which is fantastic. And what's also good is that this thing has IP67 water and dust resistance, despite being a mid-ranger, which I definitely appreciate. I did encounter one particular annoyance, and that was with the in-display fingerprint scanner. Now, as I've said numerous times before, I'm not amazing when it comes to in-display fingerprint scanners. I feel like my hands are just not compatible. However, most of the time I can get them working. This one was just an absolute pain from start to finish. From setting up the device, setting up the fingerprint scanner, to using it, I've tried restarting, I've tried re-entering my fingerprint. It's just absolutely poor and yeah, just not acceptable in my opinion. They would have been better off with like a side mounted one or a rear placed one. The modest Snapdragon 750G is going to be enough for those of us who mainly use our phones for Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. For those looking to heavily game, you might want to look out for the aforementioned S20 FE for its better processor. I didn't experience many hiccups with the A52 however, it ran pretty well and felt quite quick thanks to that high refresh rate display too. Battery life is a very similar story. It's a 4500 mAh battery and it got me through a full day absolutely no problem. I actually went into the second day and got around 3/4 of the day through, so if I managed to sort of lessen my use time a little bit, maybe used a lower brightness, I would get a full 2 days, which is brilliant. I find that with a lot of new smartphones is they have much bigger batteries, so you're getting much better battery life overall anyway. However, this one in particular did quite well. I would call it, for the heaviest user, easily a full day, which is basically good enough for most people. I mean, it's using a mid-range processor, so it's not going to use up more juice, but at the same time, it's not using the highest end processor, which is going to help with efficiency, but overall, great battery and decent charging speeds as well. You even get a charger in the box, look at that. Let's talk about software now. This is an area in which Samsung have been pretty good in recently, and the A52 5G running Android 11 via One UI 3.1 is a great display of this. There are plenty of features, it's well up to date, and I really like the clean interface. That said, I'd be concerned about long-term support. Samsung's long-term support on its mid-rangers hasn't been quite as good as its flagships for obvious reasons, and more of an issue is you can't really install custom software on these Samsungs because they have Knox, which is Samsung's sort of protection service, which makes things a lot harder. It's not impossible to install custom software on these, but it's not quite as good. However, if you've got one of these on like a 2-year contract, you'll be absolutely fine. You'll be fully supported throughout those 2 years. Samsung's been very good at that. How about the cameras then? Well, the two main ones on the back, namely the 64 megapixel main and the 12 megapixel ultra wide, along with the 32 megapixel selfie camera, I mean, none of those are bad whatsoever. They deliver decent photos thanks to the relatively powerful software and hardware combination. I'm not the biggest fan of the overprocessed colours and sharpness, but this is more subjective and is something that you'll either prefer or you won't. The additional cameras, namely the 5 megapixel macro and depth cameras, I haven't even bothered testing for this video. They're just there to fluff out the spec sheet. They're absolutely no doubt in my mind that they're just to make the domino shaped camera bump a little bit more impressive looking. Absolutely not needed. overall, a decent camera package. It's definitely not going to blow you away, and if you're used to more flagship offerings, it's going to kind of meh, but at the same time, it's still solid performance, a good 7 out of 10 from me. This includes everything from the main camera to the portrait modes to the ultra wide to the video. There's a good camera package here. It's not just one good main shooter, and you are getting good modes. And I've said this before, Samsung's software and its camera app is one of the best because it gives you the option of being very simple and easy to use, but also gives you the flexibility in the settings menus and the extra modes and stuff like that. So solid job from Samsung here. So then, should you go out and buy the Galaxy A52 5G? Well, if you have to buy brand new, it's a really good option. It's very solid across the board. Apart from that issue with the fingerprint scanner, I found it to be perfectly fine. You know, I'd use it day to day, absolutely no issue. It might slow down going into the future faster than a high-end smartphone, but you are getting usually a 2-year warranty, and if you've got it on a 2-year contract, it's fine because you're just going to replace it as soon as it starts to slow down anyway. It's not the fastest, it's not got the best cameras, it's not got, well, I was going to say it's not got the best screen, but it definitely has got one of the best screens. It's definitely a better jack of all trades master of just the screen, as opposed to the Pixel 4a, which is sort of not amazing across the board, but has a really good camera. So this is definitely more well balanced than the other options. It is a lot of money for a mid-range of £500. I mean, do you guys remember the OnePlus 3? That was £309 initially for the main smartphone, and that was a flagship killer that had the highest end specs. So yeah, it's not like you can expect heaps of smartphone for your money. You're not getting the best of value smartphone, but if you like Samsung, if you like One UI, stuff like that, if you really would value that big, beautiful screen, and you like the rest of the specs and what I've told you so far, definitely go out and buy it because it's a very good smartphone. As I've said more recently, it's hard to make a bad smartphone these days, but this one in particular is very good. If you can, I would recommend going with the S20 FE if you're looking for something with a better processor and more long-term support. However, that phone is older and doesn't have the super high-end main camera like the A52 5G. All these acronyms, it's yeah, kind of crazy. I want to give a massive thanks to Vodafone for sending out the phone for review. They've sent out a number of phones more recently and they've got some more coming, so fantastic stuff from them. Do check out all their deals and where you can buy the A52 5G in the video description. All the links will be down there, along with my social media and Patreon links. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do like, comment and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one. I've been Ryan Thomas and I will catch you later. Peace.